Alright, we're going to put a tank housing on a MS250. This little piece right here is broken off of it. It's actually under warranty, so customer's not having to pay for this. Let's see if I can get it in there. Can't really see. There you go. Down in there. See how broken it is? The other half's in this tube. So we're going to be taking this thing all the way down. We'll get to it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is take the fuel out of it. Any kind of tank replacement, I always remove the fuel first. It's actually already gone. That's good. Couple of tools. Use my 8mm T-handle. Spark plug wrench. Just take a flat head, pop this up, throttle connector, and this little choke lever here, if you pull the carb back just a little bit, it comes right out. MS250, by the way. We're going to pop up our multi-control lever there. Get that out of the way. Pull the fuel line off. And there's your carb. Go ahead and get your metal intake flange off of there. Most of the time the gasket will stick on, so you don't have to worry about the gasket. Next we're going to pop off all these little plugs for the handle. Any kind of flathead works. And we got one up front here. I think you have to take this, little plastic guide out too. Three there, and there's a little small one up top here. Now, take the muffler off. Pretty simple. a little metal washer there too that comes off. There's an exhaust gasket on there too. Goes metal plate, exhaust gasket, and then your muffler goes on and pinches the gasket between the metal piece and the muffler. Take our winter summer shutter out. Go ahead and pull the spark plug. Take off your clutch drum. You know, a little flat head for that. Currently using rope for my piston block. I've got 3 piston blocks ordered for the bigger spark plug hole like these. I'll put that number in there as well. Try to catch the piston on the way back up with this going clockwise so it doesn't end up pushing the rope out the exhaust port. So these clutches are left-handed thread, so you turn it to the right to loosen it. So your worm gear goes first, then your washer, and you've got a cup. You want the inside of that cup towards the worm gear is what they call this, and then your clutch. And again, that's lefty tighty, righty loosey. Looks like this new piece has studs. No tensioner, oil pump, fuel caps, no fuel line, and that's it. It does have a warmer grommet right there. We got 2 on the bottom here. Handle comes off. This little grommet up top here is what holds this on mostly. So we'll just push that in with a screwdriver. And then your intake boot here, I usually just take my finger, you can get it out of there, and just push it through. And then the handle should come off. Oh yeah, you got some wiring here too. You gotta pull that off. As well as this. And then that little grommet just pushes through. And then it pulls off. Don't forget your impulse hose as well. It just pulls off of there. So there's your fuel line. Pull that out of there. Take our starter off here. Go ahead and take the nut off, flywheel. It's just regular thread, so these little exhaust bolts, they just kind of clip in there. Pretty easy to take in and out. This intake boot here, this actually acts as the compressor for the boot, and it just simply pulls off. Pretty simple. See there? Comes right off. Okay, now we have 4 bolts holding the engine on. Be pretty well torqued on. Four bolts. engine should just pull right off. We got one screw here holding the wire on.
Know any reason why this says charge for a saw sharp?
Yeah, he left it with the chainsaw. He brought the chainsaw up here and wanted me to put it on. He said, just charge me for whatever you would for a saw sharp. Yep. Then the engine just lifts right out. You may or may not have to reseal this with the RTV. I think this one's on there pretty good. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to leave it. There was no air leak, so no reason to do that. You can leave your impulse hose and intake boot on there as well. We do have to remove the ignition coil. It's not part of the housing. There's a couple of different places in there where the wires are actually pressed into the plastic. Little wire guides. Be sure they go back in the right location on the new one. One little single wire there. We also have to remove the brake system. What I usually do here, if you pull the brake handle back, it actually stretches that string out. So I make sure it's forward so there's not as much tension on that spring when I take it off. Just like so. Go ahead and take your band out. Just kind of rocks in there. Pretty simple. Turn it. You have a very small E-clip here. And just push it off with a flat head. A wide flat head. Easier said than done sometimes. A pair of needle nose. There it is. Very small. And got this piece actually slides. And we'll take that end off first and then slide it to get it off. And then your handle, little plastic washer there. Handle just comes right off. One end goes in the plastic handle, lines up with that hole right there. I think that's everything. We do have to take the metal spike off. It's pretty simple. Alright, that's it. Everything's removed except the tensioner. Let's see, there is a screw. I noticed I was trying to take one off the other day and I couldn't get it, and there's actually a screw I didn't know about. You move the tensioner forward. And there's a screw right there that has to be removed for the tensioner to come out. Just like so. Alright, so I went ahead and resealed the bottom end, new RTV. I wanted to make sure. I noticed that my rope that I'm using for a piston block actually got cut. Let me show you that. Kind of scared me a little bit. This end right here, usually it's not like that, so it got cut. There wasn't anything in there, so put it all back together, resealed it just to be safe. I don't want to be pulling this thing back apart once I get it back together. So this is what's called a modular style engine. It has an engine pan instead of a crankcase. This is 250, and on like a 026 or 260, most of their Pro Saws, the engine pan is actually the crankcase. The cylinder and engine pan are not one piece like this. There's actually a crankcase that the crankshaft is mounted into, it's pressed into. Most of these have significantly more power compared to your modular design. Most of your homeowner saws, 250, 290, 291, 271, MS170, 180, 211, all of those are the modular design. They're less expensive to manufacture, I assume. It mounts in the bottom in there. And what I've actually done, what I've found is if you let the RTV dry before you put the engine back in the tank housing, is that it holds. It'll actually hold itself. The engine pan will hold itself to the cylinder, so you're not trying to finagle that in there and then messing up your RTV sealant and everything. I'm also going to show you guys how to reinstall the chain brake system with the spring, because that's one of the harder things to do on these models. Might point out a couple more things that are difficult. Alright, we're going to go ahead and install the engine, get that torqued down so we can finish sealing up this bottom end. Should be relatively simple. Just stick the clutch side through first. It's much easier to do this without everything on it as well. I've taken the engine apart before without having a whole lot of the stuff that's off of here on there. It's much harder that way. It just kind of pops right in without all the other pieces in. Grab our 4-cylinder screws. This RTV's been sitting for about probably close to 40 minutes. We'll go ahead and torque them all the way down. Okay, so it looks like I may have missed something. So we are going to have to pull the oil line out of the tank. It looks like we just got one screw there. Should be pretty easy. Yep, it just pops right out of there. Pretty easy. It's got a little barb on it. I think this hose will just pull out with the little filter and everything on it. Let's see. Twist it out of there. There it goes. Yeah, see? Filter and everything comes right out. Very simple. Never had to replace those before. They don't really clog up. I'm gonna go ahead and stick that in the new one. Make sure that grommet gets pressed in all the way. And your little barb just sticks down in the hole. Oop, wrong way. You got a little O-ring on there too. Should never have to replace that one though. The screw goes back in. Alright. I'm going to torque my bolts down for the cylinder a little bit further. Make sure those don't come back out. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and put our brake back on. Let's see what we got here. Got the spring. This little piece. Plastic washer. That piece, not even sure what that's called. And your very small E-clip. So what we're going to do first, the only other thing, sorry, had a technical difficulties. So the ignition wire actually goes behind the coil, if that makes any sense. we're going to leave the coil loose so that when we put our flywheel back on, we can go ahead and set the gap. We're just going to use a business card to gap the flywheel. Usually just stick it in there and roll the flywheel around till the magnet's there, and that usually sets it up just right. When we get this plastic piece back on, that actually holds the wires in here. Let's see how difficult this is going to be. Just make sure you feed everything back through. Impulse line, and your wires, and of course the intake boot goes in the big hole. It's actually going on pretty easy. Let's press it on. Looks like it's in there. You can look up in right there and make sure it's on the bottom and the top all the way around. Looks to be it. Let's say that's supposed to be over that. There we go. Alright, so I forgot something. See how loose that is? There's a spring that goes up in there. Completely missed it. Maybe like that. Alright, so this piece goes in there just like that. Apparently, completely missed it. And that's what makes it spring in and out. It's actually got a spring back to it now, so that's how you want it. Sorry I missed that. Try to get everything back together before I deal with the spring. Handy dandy screwdriver. Don't ask me how, it just works for me. Alright, thanks for watching. So I'm down to putting the starter cover on. Got the handle all put back on, waiting on the carb. So I'm going to see if we can get that out of there with an easy out. I think this may be the smallest one they make. I can't even read the number on it. Let's see how it works. Came right out. Little plastic piece.